appreciate you guys.
Thanks for the invite.
No problem, man. No problem. How are you doing today, brother? Doing good?
Yeah, bro, I'm good. And you?
Man, I'm chilling, man. Pretty nice weather, man. I'm gonna enjoy my day off tomorrow. I'm gonna go to the beach and all that stuff. Um,
There's always good weather in Miami. What are you talking about?
I mean, dude, like people think Miami is like always sunny and everything, but dude, man, this place is really like it's like a steam room, right? And in one block it'll be nice and sunny, and then the other block there'll be like a thunderstorm. It's really weird this place.
Yeah, it's like 75 degrees here today. It's like the first day of spring. So I am going to go out and enjoy that right after this.
Exactly, man. Same here. Oh, I see we got Jones in the crowd. What's going on, Jones? Good to see you in the crowd. I'm gonna see you in the crowd.
Hey, Jones.
All right, I guess we can get started now. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Crypto World Radio. My name's Wabi, and today we're here joined by a good personal friend of mine, Michael, and a new friend of mine, Zybak. And we recently connected, and he kind of told me his story. He's a crypto enthusiast, and he's built a lifestyle around this market, and we're gonna get to know him a little bit here on the spaces. And Michael is here with me, joining up on the panel. And if anyone here in the audience um, enjoys this conversation, feel free to follow us and retweet the space and all that stuff. And if you have any questions or anything that you want to add to the conversation, I'll bring you guys up towards the end. So, yeah, let's get started now. This recording will be uploaded onto our YouTube as well. And yeah, let's go right ahead and get straight to business. So Zybak, man, you've obviously done very well for yourself and have centered your life around you know, living a self sovereign life and really using crypto the way it's supposed to be, right? Like being your own bank. What was it about this industry that really kept you laser eyed and sticking around? Because most guys, they're only in it for the short term and then they leave. But having an enthusiast mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, like I'm going to be here and stick around for the long term. You don't really see that often, man. So, what was it that enticed you to be around the industry and create networks and all of that through all these things?
I think I just naturally gravitated to crypto, both because I saw it was going to be the biggest opportunity to make money on the internet of our lifetime. So I would say that's like the first reason. And just the general culture around it. Like you can be big in crypto and like make millions and still chill all day in tracksuits, like blast rap music, live like a still fun lifestyle. Like you don't need to be 24/7 in suits like you would if you work in like corporate finance and always being serious, watching everything you have to say in crypto. Like I think what really kept me around, other than the fact that you can make huge money in it, is that you can really have the freedom that comes with it as well.
And Zybak, you've been really successful. I know you didn't start with much at all, if I'm not mistaken. And can you just tell us a little bit about how you started and what your approach was? Like, how did you build up from, pretty much nothing to where you are today? Did you have a specific strategy? As you know, there's always a little luck involved, but I'm sure you also had a strategy that took you to where you are. How would you describe how you went about doing business?
So I would say the main advice I can give and main strategy is actually I didn't start like with completely nothing. I was already making a lot of money from sales jobs in sales.
Hmm.
And I'd advise like
Yeah.
anybody who's into crypto who wants to get into it, you have to be making money. You have to have cash flow coming in because otherwise just one mistake you make can wipe you clean and you won't be able to make the correct choice that's going to actually make you like a million or 2 million or whatever. You might get wiped out before you even get that opportunity to come through. So I think that on top of like the crypto strategies you're going to take, you need to make sure that you have another source of cash flow coming in. And as long as you have that, I think you'd be good. And the other really important point I would say is you need to be surrounded by the right people. So there's so many different aspects of crypto that are important, and you need to be working with elite people in every single like cornerstone of crypto. So what I mean by that is like technical analysis. You need to know a really good technical analysis guy. You need to know a guy who's really good at finding gems. You need to know a guy who's really good at like using the block explorer to find to like track on like Etherscan and those types of websites how the wallets are moving. And there's multiple different aspects to crypto, and you'll never be able to be like elite level at every single one of them. So I'd say surrounding yourself with the right people and having like the right network around you is extremely helpful, and the right context too, because where I've seen people really make the most money in crypto is from getting in on pre-sales and IFOs, and you just need to have the context to do that. You can't get in on those if you don't know anybody. It's not possible.
And I got one more quick question. So a lot of people, anybody can make money on the way up. We all know that. I mean, it's very easy in crypto when there's a bull market to take your 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, whatever it is. And it is quite easy when we're in a bull market cycle to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times that. So I obviously a guy like yourself, if you were able to keep most of your money. How did you go about that? How are you able to prevent yourself from being like the other guy? Most people who ring up a bag and then they give back most of it in some cases. How were you able to prevent that?
Yeah, so I got into crypto in like 2016. This was when Bitcoin was like $500, and like you still nobody knew what crypto was at all, like in the mainstream. And so I got then in 2016, and I already had like 50K I made from like sales jobs back then. And so I started investing quick. It went up. Like I immediately got FOMO. I was like, fuck, I should have put in more immediately. And so I kept investing. And this was so early, like Bitcoin was only like it's 1,000, 1,500 or so. And then in like a couple months later, it went up. And I did like a couple altcoin picks and everything. And like 6 months later, mind you, like I knew nothing about investing. Nobody in my family knew about investing. Nobody in my network knew about investing. Like back then, I was 18 years old, right? And like 6 months later, like my wallet went up to 1 million, and I was just dancing around in my apartment every day. And like in my mind, it was just going to be like forever like that. I was set every day. It's going to go up higher and higher. Like a week later, I'd be at 2 million. 2 weeks later, I'd be at 3 million. And then, of course, like it all came crashing down. And so, like 2 months later, I was down to like 1 month later, actually, I was down to like 300K. And like 6 months later after that, I had like barely, I think, less than 100K. And the smart thing I did though is like I didn't quit. I didn't say like, okay, fuck this crypto stuff. I'm gonna get interested into something else. I stayed focused on crypto because I believed in it so much. Like it was crashing the whole time. I was like, why is this crashing? This stuff is so solid. And then in the meantime, like I started getting big on Twitter. I had like a following, and through that, I found this Indian kid who's like extremely talented at technical analysis. And since then, I've been working with him. He's like predicted every top, every bottom. He really doesn't miss. And like I've seen a lot of traders on Twitter and other sites like that, and most of them, I feel like they're bullshitting. Like I see them make so many mistakes. But this guy who I'm working with now, and he's young as fuck too, so it's really impressive. When it comes to technical analysis and like long-term market swings, I've really not seen him make any major mistakes yet.
That's obviously extremely valuable. And would you say that the first time that when you had that 80, 90% drawdown, did you draw any lessons from that stuck with you?
Yeah, you have to sell the top. Like the markets are never gonna go up forever. That's something like very obvious to me now. But when you're in the heat of the moment and you don't know anything about investing, and every day your shit goes up like 20%, so in like one day you make like 100K, you get so psychology hooked to the feeling. Just like, no, no, imagine if I sell now and I'll miss out on making another 10 million. So, and I'm like a very emotional person, so I need to have people who are more rational around me to tell me and to analyze the technical analysis and get info from those type of people.
Zyback, and would you say that you're more of a technical, like a technical trader from the looks of it, from this conversation that we're having, or do you also look at things like narratives, right? Like a narrative that was building up late last year during the bottom was, okay, we're seeing all these centralized exchanges go down, all these funds going down. It's time to go back to the roots of all things, right? Decentralization, and then we started seeing an uptick on decentralized exchanges, and then we came to a point where like the amount of volume that was traded across the centralized exchanges started to triumph over centralized exchanges. Do you look at things like that, or are you more like technical based, like sentiment based, and all those things?
Yeah, no, I'm fully invested into looking at sentiments, narratives, analysis, and I don't do technical analysis at all. Like I've never been into technical analysis just because to me it's super boring and I don't enjoy doing that. But the guy I work with in my private network, he's extremely talented at technical analysis. And like I was saying, this guy he doesn't make any mistakes. He's like 250 IQ, Pajit, bro. Trust me, when it comes to technical analysis, I've never seen anybody better than him. But me, yeah, I'm more like looking at the narrative, looking for low cap gems, looking at the sentiments, this type of thing, you know?
And do you think over time, as the market starts to become diluted in alpha, do you feel like the trading environment is going to get harder? Because I see now that like from what you're speaking, that building up private networks is going to be able to give you that edge when it comes to navigating to navigating all of these systems, and it's reached to a point now where we even have the development of bots going into decentralized finance and other things like that.
Yeah, I would say at this point, like the whole crypto scene has changed so much. You can't just invest in some coins and leave it for 2 years and you're going to be a millionaire. You have to be working with like really talented people who know how to trade because there's so many scams and there's so much shit that just never bounces back up and you need to be constantly like aggressive. Or you can just invest in Bitcoin and be a passive investor, but that's not what the real gains are.
And if off the top of your head, what would you say your best trade was? And how did you go about that? Like how did you navigate the market after having that rush? Because some people, they end up retracing everything and just never coming back. But you've stayed in the game for a number of years now, man. If you're coming from 2016, 2018 was pretty brutal, man. I remember that year like it was yesterday. Almost every single token went down 98%.
Yeah, bro. 2018 was tough. That was a tough. But yeah, the best trade I ever made, I was like getting in on Ethereum. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're back.
Yeah, we can
You're
hear
back
you,
now,
bro.
brother.
Yeah, so the best trade I ever been on, I'd say would be getting in on Ethereum at $20, and that was like in 2016. And then like some small cap plays, I got in on ERSDL. It did like 100x. I got in on LCX. It did a 50x. And I have a couple plays right now that seem super legit and are super low cap that I think are going to do similar numbers.
And what's your general outlook for 2023? It really seems that some bullish momentum is starting to kick in, and we're just about a year off from the Bitcoin halving, and we have the Litecoin halving in a couple of months, and we have everything going for numbers to be hit like 40K, even 50K from here to over the next 12 months or so, right? as we get closer to things like the halving.
Yeah, bro, it's so cozy. Like we're finally done with the bear market, and we're starting to see some coins do numbers, and making money is much easier. So that's very cozy. And like what I think is gonna happen in like 2023, 2024 is so like the first cycle, most of the coins that blew up, they were like Bitcoin killers. So they were just things that were hyped up because they're gonna kill Bitcoin and take Bitcoin's place. And then the second cycle in 2021, it was like Ethereum killers. So like Solana, AVAX, what's it called? Cadena, these type of coins. They were supposedly gonna kill Ethereum, take Ethereum's place, like L1s. And this cycle, I think what's gonna be huge is all of these L2 plays, layer two plays, because they're gonna be able to help Ethereum scale, but they're all gonna have their own what's it called, ecosystem. So the ecosystem plays in these different L2s, I think, are all gonna have crazy, crazy bull markets, and it's gonna be kind of like in 2020. Like first, I don't remember which one it was, but I think like first Solana pumped, and then slowly every single L1 coin pumped, and it's gonna be the same. Like maybe first the what's it called, Arbitrum L2 ecosystem is gonna pump like crazy. Then you're gonna see ZK Sync, which I think is gonna be the biggest play, and then it's gonna be like Metis, Polygon, and these types of things that are gonna pump.
And Zyback, what?
Hey, one thing I wanted to add to this conversation, just for you guys listening out there, when you're early on in the cycle, you want to find the stories that are going to drive the next run, like Zyback was just mentioning. So the whole key of investing is you want to look at every single market out there as if it is a Ponzi scheme. And I don't mean it in a literal sense, but in essence, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get an asset earlier than everybody else, and you're trying to offload it to them later on. So initially, what you need to do is you need to have your ear tapped to the market. You need to be paying attention every day, finding out what's going in the market, what narratives are getting hot, what type of technology is getting hot. And you got to buy these particular coins when they're basing along the bottom of their base. You do not chase them up. You find something with a story, with a future narrative that's going to come into play. You ideally want to see that asset rolling along the bottom for a number of months. You know, a lot of people like to chase, and that's how you get crushed. You find something rolling across the bottom for a number of months. You buy that first stage breakout. So ideally, you want to mix technicals with narrative in an early stage breakout. And that's how you find yourself 5, 10, 20, 30 times. And then you use the technical analysis more towards the end to see the euphoric, well, not only technical analysis, but psychology. Uh, for example, Wabi, you remember, I mean, I pinned the top on Bitcoin, I think twice in 2021. And the reason why I was able to do that is because I have a lot of experience in markets and I know a euphoric market when I see one. And it was so obvious. Did I miss a couple of weeks of gains? Absolutely. But got out near the top almost every single time. Back in 2017, I made 37 times my money. I took out the majority of it because I was able to recognize greed. I saw that the trend lines that were holding us up the whole way were taking out. So it's not the most difficult science in the world if you apply some effort to it, is what I'm trying to say. But initially, you want to get the stories before other people do. And it sounds like I'm simplifying that. It's not that easy, but it isn't that difficult either. You want to find the narratives before they become the talking points all over Twitter. That's how you really make the outside gains. I'm sure you guys could agree with me on that.
Yeah, bro, I think you nailed it.
Yeah. Wabi, I'm sure you feel the
Oh
same way.
yeah, man, for sure, bro. Like I remember Luna quite clearly, man. That was like the peak of greed. If I've ever seen any top, that was it. That was it, man. You know, you got people getting tattoos, buying stadiums. I mean, Michael, when was it when we started feeling that the top was in? right around November, and then around Christmas
Well,
time.
the first hop was April in that area, and that was the typical. Just so you guys know, if any of you guys remember April of 2021, if you could just really think back to that moment, and Zyback, if you have any insight into this, but if you guys could really just think back to that moment when there were $3 million being spent on a rock NFT, and you could just feel the euphoria in the air. People start quitting their jobs and say, "Hey, I just quit my job today. I'm trading crypto full time." You are almost guaranteed a week or two away from a top when you start seeing things like that. And you really need to be aware of the psychology, especially in crypto, more so than stocks, because crypto almost always has some type of euphoric ending. But when you start seeing the greed and the full scale participation of the masses, when your uncle Tommy's calling you up and saying, "Hey, what's this Doji coin?" That's when you know we're getting close. And it doesn't always mean it's going to happen right away, but that's when your alarm bells should be going off. And if you start recognizing these signs, you will prevent yourself. And obviously, adding technical analysis, like Zyback said, when you start adding all these things together and just being hyper aware of your environment, then you can prevent uh, seeing your 6, 7 figure portfolio go down to low 6 and 5 figures from the top. So you're in this game to grab as much as possible and keep it. That's the part people forget.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree, and it's always about starting to catch some narratives early. So, Zyback, what is it specifically about? I know you were mentioning ZK Sync, and even privately we were talking about that. So, what is it about the ZK Sync ecosystem that has you interested in its future developments and all those things? And how do you see it developing over the coming years, given that there is a much needed want for privacy, especially with developments going on in other countries outside of America.
Yeah, but I think without a doubt, the ZK Sync ecosystem, its whole ecosystem is going to have a huge bull run. And I think now is like a once in a lifetime opportunity to get in this early, especially for those who didn't really make any gains from Arbitrum, because ZK Sync allows like super fast scaling for the Ethereum layer 2 ecosystem. And like we're in such early stages, like the TVL total value locked, I think is like 40 million. And scale is like 100x. And there's some coins now that are just barely starting out, but they have good teams behind them. They have good. And for example, on the Arbitrum ecosystem, you have GMX. It's a perpetual DEX where you can use up to 100x leverage. So you can trade times 100x in a decentralized exchange, like first of its kind. And they're working on something similar by a project by a company called On-Chain Trade. They're working for something similar.
Hey, Zyback, you're
That's
cutting
just
off there,
one
bro.
example of the. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good now. You were cutting off there a bit, brother.
Yeah. So what I was saying is the GMX is perps 100x leverage trading.
So, Zyback, have you paid attention
And
to?
it's a
Oh,
market cap almost.
yeah, you're still cutting off, brother. Yeah, he's still cutting
Yeah.
off. Michael, you're able to hear him?
No, I'm not able to hear him.
Wait, let me
Hold
try
on.
going to a different network.
Yeah. In the meantime, guys, if you're new to the space, my name's Wabi, and we're here talking with Zyback about his journey in the crypto space and how he started out, and how he's managed to keep a good chunk of that money, and some of the strategies and all that stuff that he's implemented to stay in the game, to really stay solvent. In these markets, it's either everything goes up 100x or everything is a scam. But it's all about what happens in between those price movements and the networks that you can develop in between that really give you that alpha edge. So
Yo, bro.
go ahead.
Yeah, I changed networks now. Hopefully, you guys can hear me better.
Yeah, yeah, we're able to hear you properly. If anyone in the audience wants to come up and join the conversation, ask any questions in the meantime, feel free to do so. We're about just a little over halfway done, and yeah, go on ahead, Zybek. Go ahead, brother. We can hear you perfectly now.
Yeah, bro. So where did the what I was saying get cut off for you guys?
You were talking about the TVL going on at the moment on ZK Sync.
Yeah, so I think the TVL can go like 100x from here, easy, maybe even 1000x. And like one project I really like, it's by a company called On-Chain Trade, and they offer like perp DEX, so leverage trading on a decentralized exchange, which has been huge in the Arbitrum network. There's a company called GMX. The coin has a total market cap of like 700 million. And on the ZK Sync network, the coin I'm talking about, it only has like 5 million or like 4 million total market cap so far. So when you look at the potential for stuff to grow, it's huge. And even Arbitrum, we're like still only at the very beginning of a bull run. Even on the Arbitrum chain, I think those type of coins can do like a 10x or 20x from here. So I think when you get in so early in the ZK Sync ecosystem plays, the gains you can make over 1 year, 2 years are unthinkable.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been hearing a lot about the ZK Sync ecosystem, under the surface. So it's like all the smart people are talking about it. So I'm definitely going to be paying attention to what is going on there. So it's been like it's not like all over Twitter yet, but it's like under the surface, which is interesting. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and I think like a big thing on Twitter also is like 2 years, 3 years ago when Bitcoin was going crazy, or like the whole crypto markets were going crazy, every single account, like no matter what their business niche was, like I'm talking like agency owners, OnlyFans guys, ecom guys, everything, right? They all like switched into crypto accounts. And in like a year, 2 years from now, when the markets go parabolic, everybody's going to switch into a crypto account again. But if you're
You're
smart, when you're
absolutely
getting in
right, bro.
now, huh?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest grips in the game, and it's also something to notice. Like for example, what you just said. Like I said, the tops are always they always smell the same, and they always have the same type of characteristics. And it's just really funny you mentioned that because we kind of started like bottoming in this process when people had removed themselves from the crypto game. And then, like you said, they're going to start rushing back in because you have the potential to make a lot of followers very quickly in crypto. So these people are going to start rushing back in at some point. That'll be a sign that the market's on the move back up, the recognition phase. And then again, when you start seeing people quitting their jobs to trade and rock NFTs, trading for a few mil or whatever the next big thing will be, that's when you got to start paying attention and start protecting your money rather than making money.
Yeah, and I would say if you get in now, when the whole sentiment on Twitter, especially like on money Twitter, is not so much fucking with crypto. If you go do like the opposite of what everybody's doing and you get in now, the gains you can make are really crazy. Whereas if you get in once it's like the cool, popular thing everybody's doing, yeah, you can make some money, but it's not gonna be like the kind of money you can make if you get in now. And to sell the top, it's like way easier said than done because once you actually get in crazy gains every day, your natural like human greed is gonna kick in and you're not gonna want to sell. That's why I think like having people who actually know how to analyze the market, do the technical analysis, or even learning on your own. But for a lot of people, that's not interesting. So it's worth paying to join a network of people who can actually tell you when the top is and who have like a proven track record of doing it.
Cyback, and have you been paying attention to the recent trends of these decentralized casinos coming about? You have, things like Rollbit, ZK Casino, Decentrabet, stuff like that. Do you feel like, hold on. Sorry, man. Sorry, I'm actually out for a walk at the current moment. But yeah, I was mentioning how if you're seeing this narrative that I'm seeing as well, with these more newer exchanges that are centered around like the casino UIXs and all that stuff like Rollbit. You also have ZK Casino coming out and other platforms like the CentraBet. Do you feel like that'll kick off a trend like the decentralized swaps and AMMs started in 2019 and 2020?
I think it could be something big. Yeah, I'm into Winner on Arbitrum Network, and I think the whole casino betting space could blow up on the internet for sure. I see the advantages to it.
And on a more grander scale, have you ever paid attention to things like macroeconomics and things of that nature? I know, last year everybody was an expert on things like CPI and jobs numbers and things like that. Do you pay attention to like financial data like that, or have you always just stuck to crypto and only crypto?
No, I've never like spent even like an hour of my life looking at stuff like that. But I have a team of people who are some of the best in the world of doing it in my private network. So it's like I said, you can't be like great at everything. You have to be great at one thing, and then you can team up with other people who are good at other things. So yeah, one of my like main partners in my network, he knows that type of stuff really well.
Michael, and when you started off in Wall Street, because I think there's somewhat of a synergy here. When you started off, and you were getting your career on the road, was it similar to how Zyback is describing it? Like you have one guy focusing on growth, someone focusing on industrials, another guy on commodities. Was it a similar dynamic, or
No, I mean, well, you got to remember the finance industry is finance. So ideally, I mean, of course, you had people who specialize. Don't forget, sales, when you're first getting into the business, your primary role is to be a salesman. It's only when you have assets under management do you start becoming a trader and investor, so on and so forth. But we used to have analysts that did take care of that for us. And they would use a combination of technical and fundamental. And obviously, you have to pay attention to the macro picture too. But I will tell you, one of the better analysts I've ever worked with, and this is applicable to crypto too, even though it's for stocks. And this is actually some really good alpha I'm giving you guys right here. So, what he used to do is he used to get a list of the most recent IPOs with the hottest products and good financial situation. And what he would do, and now I want you to think in your mind that you could do this with crypto too. He would wait for the IPO to happen. And then he would let it go sideways, consolidate for a few months, and he would buy the first stage breakout of a company that has a long runway of growth. It never had a run yet, so there's very little overhead resistance. And you could take that, and he was easily able to find two, three, four, 5 times, and we're talking about the stock market. So what I'm trying to get at is you could take that same exact concept for crypto. Find the hotter projects that just hit the market. They haven't had their run yet. They're going sideways for anywhere between 2, 3, 4 months, and you buy that first breakout. That is how you get in early and you match the narrative with a consolidation, then a breakout. That is how you get yourself an easy 10 bagger. For example, I did that with Sol, and I didn't trade it all the way up, but I bought it at like 2, 3 and change. And unfortunately, I was out of it all. By the mid 20s or 30s, which is horrible, but whatever the case is, I still made 10 times. And the way you do these things is you scale out. Like, say, for example, you have 10,000 coins, you bought along the bottom of the base, it breaks out, it doubles, it triples. You take a portion of your position off. It could be half, it could be a third. And then you leave what we call the moon bag, as you guys all know. Just in case that coin goes 100x, you leave some in your account. If the story makes sense and if it's not a total POS scam, then you believe it has a future. as you scale out of that position, you leave yourself a moon bag. So therefore, if you still have, say, 200 coins left that you bought at 2, and it goes to 3, 4, 500, 1,000, that little position is going to actually be worth something. So, yeah. So as far as your main question, I was in the industry, so I got good at all of those things. That's because it was my profession.
Yeah, I think you nailed describing like the most effective technique I've found to make money in the crypto game. Especially like the parts about waiting 3, 4 months past the drop of the token during the accumulation phase, and then it flies. Especially if you're in a bull market, then it can do really crazy numbers.
Yeah, and usually these plays exist in the bull market too. And if you look at the charts right now, they're all over the market. You just have to figure out which ones are actually worth putting your money into. But there's a lot of beautiful crypto setups right now. And the beautiful thing is if they break under the bottom of their range, you automatically have your stop loss area. So it's not like you could build along the bottom, and if it breaks out of that range, you get out. And sometimes you'll get faked out. That's part of the game. But you build along the bottom of the base, and then you sell to the suckers getting in that are going to be chasing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times higher. Your goal is to pass the bag to others. That is your goal.
Yeah, bro.
Kind of like passing the baton in a track event. Yeah. Zyback, so have you looked at any stocks outside of crypto? So maybe something like a Coinbase stock or any minor stocks, or are you fully focused on like just like when it comes to crypto, just like the tokens itself, and not really so much like infrastructure plays?
Well, I'm more into crypto overall, but in my private network group, we have also like a stocks group, which is based heavily on technical analysis. And right now, we're really liking the shop stocks or Shopify. I think that's going to do really good numbers over the next 1, 2 years.
Awesome, man. What are some other projects that you're looking forward to outside of like ZK Sync that haven't been released yet onto the market that you feel like would add a lot of TVL to the market as a whole? Like, are you looking at things like the blockchain modularity ecosystem, like Celestia and Fuel? Are you looking at more developments on like newer L2s like Mantra?
Bro, I think other than like these L2s that are going to be able to help Ethereum scale, I think we're going to see a lot of success from like proof of work L1s. Like after the success of Cas, have you heard of Casper? Hello.
Yeah, you're good, man. You're good. Sorry, I think there was a little bit of a delay on my end, man. So, how long did it take you to start making a full time living from trading? And was there any moment where you thought about like just walking away from it?
I honestly I got in like at a really good time. This is end of 2016, so I immediately like made $1 million like after what, not even 6 months, and then after I lost most of it. So I would say like the smart thing I did is like I just kept going after that.
Bob, you
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
bro?
yeah. I was
All
just
right,
throwing
cool.
some emoji signs, man. Um,
Pay attention, man.
Yeah. So, listen, guys. I think this is a good way to wrap it up. I think we'll open up to the audience one more time. So, Zyback, where can people typically find you? Like, do you have like a YouTube channel or anything like that where people can find you and connect with you and things like that?
If any guys here want to connect with me, ask any questions, give me any comments, feel free to write me a DM on Twitter, or you can join my free group. The link is in my bio.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So I guess a proper way to wrap this up, sort of like the final question is, if you were to say like how crypto looks like in in 5 to 10 years? How do you think the DeFi landscape would look like? And you can include anything like some regulatory aspects, how the regulatory landscape is going to look like, or if you feel like it's going to be more of the same decentralized way, and we'll still have backends to access things that would otherwise not be accessible to your everyday crypto participant. Like, I know there are some forks with Tornado Cash and all that stuff. But while you like give a response and all that stuff, I want to open it up to our audience. If anyone in the audience wants to come up and give any statements or any questions to Zyback, now's the time to do so. And if you guys have enjoyed this conversation, my name's Wabi. I host these spaces throughout the week. And if you enjoy this kind of content, feel free to follow us here at Because of Bitcoin and turn on bell notifications so you can be made aware of when we do these spaces. We feature anywhere from devs, founders, traders like Zyback that have their own private networks. So yeah, Zyback, the floor is all yours. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and all that stuff. And don't feel shy to come on up.
Yeah, I would say 10 years from now, there's going to be so much volume on all crypto networks and in the DeFi space, and every single rich person on earth is going to be using crypto. Also, every single poor person on earth is probably going to be using it. I think it's going to be like very strict regulations, but for like the tech savvy, tech literate people, there's always going to be workarounds to it. And yeah, but the nature of crypto is that like it's hard to track. That's the reason it was invented for. So I think there's always going to be like workarounds, but at the same time, for the majority of people, it's going to be much stricter.
It's an interesting thing you mentioned. So I believe crypto is extremely early. I also believe that everything is going digital, and I do mean everything. And what I mean by digital is eventually everything is going to be on the blockchain. So there is going to be a lot of regulation, in my opinion. I know people like to disagree with me on this. I don't see, it depends. We got to see which administrations come into play and what their philosophy is. But crypto is going to become part of the mainstream economy. And eventually, I do see at some point, maybe 10, 15 years down the road, all assets will be on the blockchain and may possibly information, possibly things we say and write will all be stored on the blockchain. I mean, I believe that's the potential of where we are going with this. So we're extremely early. I think the regulation aspect is going to be murky. And then, like I said on the space yesterday, I continue to stand by my vision that there's going to be a fracture in the market. There's going to be dark crypto and there's going to be above the water crypto. That's just how I see it going. Unless some type of political change comes, that's just where I see the future going.
Do you guys think that's
But
gonna
yeah, we're
come?
early though. Bottom line.
Do you guys think that's gonna come from like the problem that we're having right now is the dilution of this market, right? Like, there's so many L1s that don't have to exist, and Ethereum layer 2s are going to take care of that. Like, why would I go over to a new L1 when I can do the same thing on Arbitrum or Optimism? Zyback, do you feel like we're gonna still have like all these chains, or do you think they're gonna? And Michael, I think you agree with me on this, but a lot of these companies are gonna merge together. And
Yeah,
I
bro.
don't know about merging, but I do know that most of these chains do absolutely no business and they're pretty useless and they shouldn't have the valuations that they have. But on the flip side of the coin, it's also very early, so I don't know how that's going to play out yet. Like I keep saying it on these spaces, there's a lot of people that believe that by 2025, 10% of GDP is going to be on the blockchain. I think that's a little early. But so the question is, so I mean, from a business perspective, I would look at it as these L1s or whatever you want to call them. I'm not a crypto guy. I'm not involved in the industry or immersed in the industry. But you would think they would want to specialize in something so they can go after a particular piece of business. And I think that's what these things should be doing because a lot of these things really don't have any business. And the business they do have is like kind of useless. So they need to go after real world assets, not just NFTs, not just crypto games or whatever the case is, or starting a shitcoin. These entities need to actually go after real business, number one. And number two, they actually need to make it easier for the end user. The end user should not know they're using crypto, put it that way. And we're far away from that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question you asked, Wabi. That's what I was trying to say at the beginning when I said the first narrative in 2018 was Bitcoin killers. Second narratives, it was layer ones. So, like in 2018, everybody was saying Bitcoin is going to get killed by Dash, by Litecoin, by Nano, by all of these coins. And second one, it was all the everybody was saying like Ethereum is going to get killed by Sol, by AVAX, by Luna, all these coins. And I think all the coins from the first and second cycle, they're never really going to have this crazy hype around them because the hype in the coming cycle is going to be all around the L2 ecosystem. So if I want to give any advice to people, is I wouldn't focus too much on these L1s and these Bitcoin killers in general. But it doesn't mean you can't still make money with them because they're obviously going to pump. But I doubt Solana is going to get like crazy action like it did in 2019, 2020.
Yeah,
And
crypto is all about the new play for the
Yeah, that's
most part.
and
Like,
honestly, like when I'm looking for coins to invest, only invest in new coins. Because just the way the mind of the average crypto investor is, these old coins that already had like crazy hype, they never get crazy pumps. To make the big money, you have to always invest in new coins.
yeah, either that or they start establishing themselves like Ethereum or something of that nature. But otherwise, I completely agree.
Yeah, so that's like
Zyback
one out
and
of the thousand of coins.
Zyback, and compared to when you first started in 2016, did you ever think that the crypto landscape would look like how it is today?
I don't know, because back in the day, crypto was like unheard of, and I heard a lot of people talking about the potential of it, but it was hard to really imagine like how, because like back in the day, like they were talking about Ethereum, smart contracts, and everything, and I was always like asking myself how it's going to actually play out, and how like is anybody ever be able to go to make usage of like smart contracts in Ethereum? Because it makes sense now, but back then you had to have like a lot of imagination, and I feel like it played out and like it's starting to develop in a really good direction.
Yeah, it's
Zyback,
funny you said that because back in like 16, 17, you always thought this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zyback, but I know I always thought that this was going to be like totally separate from mainstream economy. And now, as you can see, it's going to merge at some point. So that did surprise me a little bit.
Yeah, it's really crazy to have seen all this grow over the years. It feels surreal, and like we're really still just at the beginning.
Agree.
Zyback, Zyback. So if someone were to come to you, right, and they're like, "Listen, man, I got into the market at the top of 2021. I'm down 95%. I don't know what to do. I'm completely unmotivated. What's one piece of advice that you would give them?"
I think if you want to do the crypto thing, you just have to go like all in on researching new coins and tracking the blockchain using the wallet, the blockchain explorers. And I think if you really like hustle, like you say you work like 5, 10 hours a day for 3 months, 10 months, you can make so much money if you actually put the work in. And yeah, I've seen so many like 0 to 10 million, back to zero, and then he went all the way back up to 10 million stories. Like, I don't think there's anywhere in the world where it's as common as in crypto that somebody gets rich, loses everything, then gets rich again. Like, there's even guys that did it like 3 times. So yeah, even if you lost everything, I wouldn't be worried at all. As long as you have like 1K to 10K, you should be able to make it all back up if you're willing to put the work in.
Just learn from your mistakes, stuff.
Exactly. Learn from your mistakes and surround yourself with the right people. If you're not good at one thing, you have to connect with somebody who's good at that thing. Like if you're good at finding gems, but you're not good at not being greedy and selling the top, find somebody who's good at TA. If you're good at TA, but you're not good at finding gems, find somebody who's good at finding gems, etc.
All right, I agree completely with that, man. And definitely now's not the time to walk away from the market when things are a bit more quieter. So I'll ask again to the audience if you guys are enjoying this conversation and want to come up and ask any questions to our speaker panel. Now's the time to do so. And if anything, there's a little chat box in the bottom right. Feel free to jot any questions down there. And we'll give it a few moments. And man, I want to thank everyone here for coming up and participating. And feel free, guys, if you're in the audience, to follow us here because Bitcoin, and also to our speaker panel. It's been a pretty enlightening conversation speaking with an individual that got in pretty much close to the inception of when Ethereum started trading on the market. And a lot of that class of 2015, 2016, they end up fizzling out and really not partaking in some of these social circles. So I want to thank you, Zyback, again for coming up, and also Michael for coming up as well as co-host. And man, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys a lot, man. If anyone wants to come up and ask questions, now's the time to do so.
Looks like we're good, right?
Yeah. I don't see any requests for
All right,
anyone
guys.
to come up and speak.
Good chat. And we're gonna have another cycle at some point. I'll just have my parting words, and the way you're gonna be successful in that cycle is doing a little homework, not chasing. Like I said, pass your bag up to somebody else. Don't be the bag holder. That's all. That's what you need to learn to do.
Exactly, man. Zyback, if you feel like giving any last statements, man, feel free to do so, brother. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro. And yeah, have a good one. It was nice to have this chat. I enjoyed it.
Without a
Take care,
doubt,
guys.
man.
Be well.
Appreciate you guys. Well, you can catch a recording of this space on our YouTube shortly after the space is concluded. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend, and God bless you all.